Once we start. Okay, and we're live. Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you, commissioners, for attending today's April COW meeting, our working meeting for our next monthly meeting, which happens to be confirmation May 8th, Monday, May 8th. Is that correct? Yes. Monday, May 8th is our next public meeting. I sent y'all the agenda. I apologize that it's late. It should be given to you a lot sooner for y'all to review, but that is entirely on me. It's not on anyone else. But I do appreciate those that did send me agenda items. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we have 2 more additional commissioners coming in. Yay. I'm going to just show the agenda and then we're going to go through it. As I let those commissioners join, I just want a quick confirmation not confirmation, just making sure if anyone needs to add anything on here. I'll display it so we can review. Just do a quick glance. Yes, no.
Did you ever speak with Roach Brown?
No. Did you get a hold of him? Because he's not that easy to get a hold of.
I did speak with him briefly, but not about
And okay. Commissioner Blacknell, Commissioner May there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Sorry.
here.
I can't see the faces, so I have a lot of things going on at once on the screen to do this. So just checking in.
I'm
Okay,
here.
so your audio is working. Thank y'all. Okay, so taking care of some admin stuff first within the commission. Just some working stuff that we just need to address. After that, just some new business stuff. This location and platform that we've been conversation that we've been juggling. We're gonna talk about that. Guidelines for public comments, the chat feature, time restraints, requests for ASL interpreters. We do have only one guest joining the COW today, and that is the developers for 1108 Montello Avenue Northeast. So I told them 7, so I would appreciate it. We might get a little past on time or off topic, but as long as it's important to the meeting. But at 7, it'll be a hard pause just to do that presentation, and then we can go on with anything else that we need to do. I'm going to try to make 7 o'clock that presentation time so we can just have them pop in and out. They don't have to wait for us that often, so we'll go on 7. But the rest of it is talking about something Commissioner May proposed, and then the agenda items for next month. So just making sure we have a good, concise agenda. Sorry. So anyone need to add anything on here? I know I forgot to add a group chat follow-up that Commissioner Roblin wanted to address. And was there anything else anyone needed to add to tonight's meeting before we start?
Go back down one more time, please. Let me see what you were adding.
Group chat follow-up from Commissioner Roblin.
What was that? What was that?
You were the signal.
Oh, didn't request that for this meeting. That was earlier. Anything about the signal, I didn't request for this meeting.
You want to address this in a public meeting?
No, I don't think we have anything to address it for the signal right now.
Okay, well, I'll take that off. Anyone else need to add anything?
You sent something recently, Commissioner Roblin, about whether you were checking with legal counsel at OANC about whether we needed to include every commissioner. I don't know if that's what Commissioner Saucedo Guzman is referring to.
I was just checking with legal counsel and she hasn't gotten back to me yet. But she did say that the whole signal might be illegal because if we have a quorum there and we can't be discussing anything to do with business behind closed doors. It all has to be public. So that's what she told me so far, but she's still checking it out.
Thank
But
you.
what I made 2 requests for this meeting to put on the agenda, but that wasn't one of them. One was the, oh, Jesus. Now I just forgot what it was, but one was,
I see all of your requests here.
I had 2. Oh, yeah.
Were
and
they
one
were
was
they
the
here,
flyers.
Commissioner Rovland? Are they on the agenda?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one was
Yeah.
the flyers and the signs, and the other was the thing that's been repeated several times since, is that decide on the chat feature. Those were the 2 that I made for this
Okay,
meeting.
got it. Thank you. So just confirming, we have how many attendees today? 7 commissioners out of 8. That's great. Thank you all for coming out. So working on old business, which is just admin stuff. One thing that we've been dropping the ball on is noticing correspondence on the physical level, more like obviously through like signage and stuff like that. So I know initially we decided on using the notice that our secretary has drafted and created, which I think it's very well done. And also following up on top of the same conversation, the yard signs. So going on that, we do still need to be better at getting the information out to the public. Because of COVID, a lot of things did change, not just in terms of the way we interact with offices and agencies, but just how people interact with people. And sometimes folks are less engaged, but they should be still getting information. So hopefully we can get engagement by just telling them, hey, what's going on? So that obviously meant for people to be preparing these notices on paper. Commissioners, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner May, you all should be able to eventually, if it's not available now, but it will be, you should be able to just print out pretty much what Commissioner May created and just edit and use it in your single member district. So there's no potential need to wait on anything in terms of the ANC. You can run with that, mark it and tag all your single member district you want, but we do need to have some financial assistance from the commission or from the community. We need a source to be able to put the money up front for those yard signs, because those sure are expensive. So those are my comments for those 2 items, and I'll let the rest of the commission touch on what they want out of this particular topic. Commissioner May, since you drafted the notices, is there anything else missing on them, or are those ready for the commissioners?
I'm pulling them up now. I would
Okay,
I
cool.
would say is,
Do you want to share them?
oh yeah, I'm just pulling them up now so I can share them with everybody. What I would say is, I think that in fairness, what I created for a flyer is probably more ready for deployment than what I drafted for a yard sign. It's not really a graphic design. I was just
That sounds fair entirely.
Google Docs. So, depending on what we want to do there, I kept it pretty basic. As you all may recall, sorry, my computer's just slowly loading everything. Let me see.
Commissioner Cobb, can you confirm that there is reimbursement capabilities for this type of marketing for the commission?
Yeah, communications is its own category of permitted expenses for the ANC, so we're okay there.
But we just have to put the money up front.
Now that we have a debit card, we might not have to.
Can you look into that? Because we've had enough boo-boos in our money department. We don't need any more. So as long as that,
yeah, we could always write a check, but of course, not a lot of people are going to take checks nowadays. The debit card should be fine. The only issue is with ACH, but now that we have a debit card, we don't have to.
So it would have to be a voting action item that we decide to maybe if we get an invoice from a company, we can put a letter down and say, this is how much we want to spend on this from this company for this purpose.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Okay.
But I want to point out that we were going to coat the flyers with something so that they wouldn't get wet in the rain. At least we were considering it.
I mean, you can get sheet protectors and hang up your flyers. If you're looking for funding, you'll have to be reimbursed.
Yeah.
So and be, that's the process for that. But I think what Commissioner May would eventually have available, that should be more than enough to start going around in your single member district. And I'm open to assisting any commissioner that wants to that needs help doing so. So just call me. Any comments on that? I think you had some, Commissioner Black now.
Yeah, due to our money situation, coding the flyers I think would be a little bit too much. We can go to the dollar store and get sheet protectors, because that's what I used it when I put my campaign flyers up. I just went to the dollar, I call it $1.25 store, and just got a whole bunch of sheet protectors. We have to be very careful how we spend our ANC money now, because as you know, we have one particular ANC commissioner that is counting every last penny we spend. We don't need no headaches. We really
Okay.
don't.
Sheet protectors, I never heard of those. I'll get those.
They're sheet protectors.
Thank you. God.
Is there still the spikes at the office for the yard signs?
Spikes? No, there was not really any spikes. It was just the yard signs itself.
It wasn't the things that go to stick them in.
No, if there was, I guess people got them. Okay. Commissioner Cobb, I'm gonna give you. Wait? I think I need to give you homework on this assignment. That we need to find an approved vendor, or just make sure it's legal to use a certain vendor source for this. Do you know if there's any restrictions?
There are
'Cause
no
I would-
restrictions.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
a place called Fast Signs that's right off of it's on V Street Northeast over, it's that side street. It's an industrial street off of Bladensburg, in between Bladensburg and South Dakota. And I think it's it's a street where a bunch of warehouses is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a place called Fast Signs over there that does a really good job.
Yeah.
I was thinking of just a simple sign that said that it was a QR code and a link for those that can't use the QR code, but pretty much just says what's going on in the block. It's a question mark, and you just put it. You can put anywhere in your SMD, especially areas that are hot, and people just kind of figure out what's going on. And I feel like that's the simplest way to connect people. It has to be fancy. The yard side does not have to be fancy.
It don't matter. Somebody took my signs.
That's why I said I'm not
stole them or just intentionally pulled them out of the ground.
That's why I'm not investing in a lot of money for signs. They're going to take them down. It's going to be a waste of money.
Commissioner May, for the sake of time, I'm going to let you follow back up with those with the first notice and any potential samples for the second, and then I can make a call to a local company, Fast Signs, or anyone else in South Ward 5 that we can see if they can give us an invoice for an estimate of these. How many commissioners for one single member district? So it'll be 9 of us. But how many yard signs we thinking per SMD? This paper, you can just get a couple stacks of paper and print them out the office, or if you got to connect or something. But those yard signs, yeah, we would definitely need to know a count. So how many would you like to see one on each of your blocks? Just like, some few of them scattered in your SMD, like.
And make sure to include 5D01.
Yeah, so it'll be 9 of them. Yeah, 9 of them.
Okay, so I don't know. All I needed was 3. I got some extras still in here from last time. Yeah.
Okay.
I
If
don't
they're
know, like 6 or 6 per SMD, maybe? I don't know.
I was thinking like 6 or 7 for my SMB.
So
Yeah.
this if they're big, I'll ask for an invoice at most 9. I think that's safe, like 9 SMDs, 9 per SMD. If they're small, then maybe around 15 to 18. I'll just double that and follow up that way.
I mean, we can if we buy in bulk, it's probably cheaper and they're probably going to get taken down. So like a year from now or 6 or 8 months from now, we might want to put up a few more, because it's going to get
Yeah,
taken
exactly, because they get
Yeah.
stolen or taken down or lost with the wind. So I think we'll be safe with 9, and we can store the rest in one of our community rooms. We have a few of them apparently now. So we'll follow up with the secretary on that. So we'll go on to the next agenda item, which is some timesheets and invoices. Commissioner Cobb, just so we're on the same page as a commission, I'm going to remind the commission that we have had timesheets from our attorney that we used in the past for ANC 5D, and we have an intern that we agreed to pay, and they've submitted, a couple timesheets. And I know our previous situation, while we haven't paid them yet, in terms of this commission, is because we have been having some banking issues. Can you clarify, Commissioner Cobb?
Yeah, so a month ago, I got back in touch with the manager, and I gave her the documents that I got from OANC. Then she said, okay, I'll send them to the auditor. Week later, I follow up. What the auditor say? She said, okay, these are good. I said, so then I, responded, said, when can I come get the signature card? Nothing. I tried again a few days later. Nothing. I tried again today. She's out of the office until Monday. So it's just the bank is not doing anything. They are grinding their feet on this. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I just can't get anything out of them.
It's
But I'm
fine.
just gonna keep trying out. I mean, the thing is, we can still write checks, but whoever signs them, which is always going to be me and probably Commissioner Salcedo Guzman,
Mhm.
if there are any issues with it, we could be held personally liable instead of the security fund. There's no insurance, through OANC. Which, like, Reed, I still have your check from the website? I might just give that to you, because even if that gets dinged, whatever, it's like $20, okay. But the attorney's like 3,000, and I don't even know how much the intern is, and I don't want to risk having to eat that. So I might, if I can get all
What I would request, Commissioner Cobb, as treasurer, just shoot me an email exactly if someone needs to go to the office in person. So just shoot me an email stating exactly what needs to be done, and I'll try to get that taken care of next week when this person's in the office. And if we don't get any budge there, then we'll go ahead and proceed in at least paying our ANC commissioner, because we know he ain't going nowhere. We can try we can make sure that at least they get paid while we put continue to put a stay and hold on the attorney and intern. But they've been I know for a fact the intern's been notified of all this entirely, so I'll make sure to follow up with the attorney as well. But I don't think we should take the risk or anything of that nature right now. So just send that over to me so we can follow up.
I was going to say another option is I can just send the paperwork to Don and say, hey, does this look good? And if it does, then I'll just write the check. Because then, I feel a lot more comfortable that we're in the clear.
If you get that in writing, I don't mind either, because people need to get paid. So
yeah, I mean, I would do it all over email. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you
Mhm.
think that maybe we should switch banks? Because that's like, that's
A lot of commissions have been having the issue.
in different
This
banks, all different banks?
Well, not the same, like the issue in terms of delay in response, but Commissioner Cobb, remind me, it's a lot of these commissions have been having issues with banks.
Um, well, a lot of them are having issues with some new security requirements related to the Patriot Act that just took effect. Ours is totally different. Ours is just an auditor who's lost their damn mind and doesn't know what they're talking about.
We had
So
to
that's
we
all.
had to do some new things though with for some reason this new year. So
Yeah, yeah,
and
none
then
of it makes sense. It's just someone
and
who
that
doesn't know
like
what they're talking about.
that just like alerted certain things elsewhere and it's just like I don't know. So we're in
Yeah.
that situation.
I would
Well,
love to change. Yeah, I would love to
yeah.
change banks, especially since our bank is so far away and it's not even in our ANC. But
Oh, yeah.
I cannot even. I don't even know what would go into a process like that.
Oh
You
my
know.
God.
Well, you can look into that, Commissioner Cobb. You're welcome to look
Yeah.
into that to see. There's a lot of branches in our commission, so little
Mhm.
branches of something in our commission.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean,
So
if it gets worse, I would say if it gets worse, we should definitely change banks, or if it stays this bad, maybe.
okay, we're
Mhm.
gonna come back on that. That was the update. That's the current situation on paying folks that the ANC needs to pay. The next was the office space, the 5D community office space. I just want to give a quick update. It wouldn't take 10 minutes. I put 10 minutes here. I always put buffer in these agendas because we always be running late. But I need to follow the agenda better. 371 Moore Street Northeast. The current air conditioning has not been working in the last year. And that's because the a piece in the air conditioning system, se quebró, it got kaputs, and then it was back ordered. And it took forever for them to get this piece. They installed the piece. Turns out the motherboard's fried también. When they were installing the new piece, they found out the motherboard was fried. So they are in the process of still replacing that. And the issue with our community room that I have is that there's no proper ventilation. There's no windows. There's only two doors, and they're both into hallways. So um, just an FYI in terms of the status of that community space, we're getting our mail there. I do look at the mail. I don't know why Verizon always sends us a bill. Commissioner Cobb, look into the Verizon account, friendly reminder. And then that space continuously gets broken into. Thank God it hasn't gotten broken into in I want to say 7 months, 7 months, 8 months. But the space is a very public. The building is it's not that secured. It's the building connected with Trader Joe's. They have a lot of people going to the loading dock, the same area. People just walk in and out. It's not really that secure. But that area has been used in the past for ANC meetings, and it's still continuously used for stuff today. Anyone that needs to use it, just put a request through the website. We get the Google notification. But that's the current status on that room. And in 1701 H Street, 371 is in Union Market, 5D01. 1701 H Street happens to be in 5D07. It's in that new building. What building is that? Is there a name to it or something? I just call it the building next to the Ross on off of 17th. But we have a community space in there as well. We have a very small room there. I think it's only like 500 square feet. They have internet access and that's it. So, and it has a easy access entrance. There's just one door. It goes straight to outside. But they don't have any other amenities or utilities for us other than the internet and electricity.
You got bathrooms?
I can't recall if there's a bathroom inside that room or not. I can't recall.
This is Hagen Jamal, right?
Yes, Commissioner. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. No chairs, no tables. The commission has to put down for all that. So that's why I thank all those commissioners that came before us that put money in the resources or structure that we at least have today. Like that's amazing that we have that. Some commissions don't have that. I can't even provide that if we needed that. Like it's not easy. So money's always a thing when it comes to the ANC. Pero those are our two spaces. Just want to give a quick update if for any commissioners that are aware of what's available. If you need to hold a single member district meeting just for your SMD, use the space. If you can't find a good spot or a good corner or block or it's raining, yo no sé, the space is available for those things. So just take note of inventory there.
Is both spaces H and Morse available for SMD meetings? So
These
Commissioner.
spaces are available for the community. So I don't know if 8th Street, I can't recall if they have it open yet because they're still doing construction, obviously. But 371 is available. You just got to clean up after yourself. So don't be invited just willy-nilly because they can get it dirty and you probably don't want to clean it. So just as long as they're respectful and if something gets damaged or something like that, then just have them pay their dues. Please help fix this or clean. It's a community space that happens in community.
And
But
how do people request them? Sorry.
this is just on the website. There's a reservation request link on the website.
And does that go to you then?
That goes to the Gmail, or Gmail to Google Doc, Google Form. Any other questions on those spaces? Cool.
Commissioner Salvador.
Yes, Commissioner.
So the one that's on H Street,
Yes, ma'am.
they are not going to provide chairs and tables.
No, ma'am.
It's just a space.
Just a space.
There's no chairs or tables in there now?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No. Mm-mm.
There are not going to be any chairs and tables in there. That's what he just said. We're just going to have the space.
Commissioner
We're going to have
Blacknell,
to.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Do you know if we paid for our own chairs at the community room
I don't think we paid for that.
for the chairs?
I don't think we paid for them chairs and the tables. I really don't think so.
I think Eden's offered all of that.
Yeah, I think they did.
Well, these developers only gave us that. They barely want to give us room. They give us a 500 square foot space.
That's not even big enough for an SMD meeting. Then we have to bring our own tables and chairs.
And you better crack a window.
Thank you.
I mean, you can do old school, like bring a folding chair. What's up?
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna come or no? But
Is there a way we can invest in some at
The
some
commission-
point?
I'm sure would that be a cost we can spend money on, Commissioner Cobb? Would you know? Providing purchasing tables and chairs for communities, our office space, because it's our second office space.
I think that'd be okay. I know that when Ryan Linehan got all the technology for the office,
Yes. Mhm.
he was reimbursed for that. So if
Yeah.
he could get reimbursed for a nice camera, I think we could get some tables and chairs.
It would make sense. It would make sense. Because the community space in Union Market has a TV and that was reimbursed. And there's a TV there to display like announcements or, community marketing of some kind. But yeah, that's the situation, Commissioner Blacknell. They didn't provide any of that. So
We might as well stay at Union Market. We didn't invest all that. No, I'm serious. We didn't invest in all that money for that mirror to be put up there on that wall and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, we obviously wouldn't hold any public meetings in 1701 8th Street Northeast. It would most likely stay in a space that's as big or just that as 371 Morris. But at least it's going to become available. You never know. You might have a dance team in your SMD that needs a space, and bam, that works. I got a room.
We need to find out if they're going to have restrooms.
That's a good question. I'll follow up with that.
And is it ADA compliant? Like,
because if I can't recall if there's a restroom inside that space, because I know they did give us a closet and they're like, this is where you can put stuff. But I remember asking that question and I can't recall. I don't want to confirm if they've referenced just the hall, like the reception area, like the entrance space where the bathrooms would be. So,
Like,
our-
are they? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say
Commissioner.
our community room in 371 has bathrooms. Has bathrooms.
I was gonna say, like, if we're paying rent on that place and it has no bathrooms, maybe we should stop paying rent on it, you know, and because we really need bathrooms for any kind of meeting.
We're not paying rent
We're
there,
not
Commissioner.
paying
Commissioner,
no rent.
we're not
Yeah.
paying any rent anywhere. Commissioner McComb, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to share with the commission if I'm actually doing a tour of the building, the one at 1701 H Street. They're waiting for me to get back with them on a date and time. So I was going to ask tonight if anybody wanted to tag along. So offline from tonight, we can kind of talk about everyone's schedule, but they are willing to walk us through it whenever we're available. So
Oh,
I know
nice.
that the chair has already walked it, but I mean, they're right here in my SMD, so they're prepared to help us out with walking through it if we want.
Oh, they gave me a virtual presentation. I didn't walk it.
Oh, yours was virtual?
Yeah, we
Oh.
were trying to get you on, but you were busy, had another commitment that popped
Yeah.
up, and we're like, no, it's fine. I'll follow up with him.
Yeah,
But I would love to see a walk because
I want to go too.
Okay, well then let's get together because I specifically just emailed them. My
Whatever
trade-off
convenient.
with them
Hmm.
was they wanted to work on the holiday. And so of course we approved it, but that was kind of a trade-off. I asked if they'll let us come and walk the building before they turn it over to the public.
Well, they given time to the community on those extra days they wanted to work. They're gonna give it to them. So.
Oh, was that the one for Emancipation Day?
Yeah.
I
was.
I was like I was surprised you gave it was all the days on there, and I was like, well, if they need to get the work, they need to get the work done.
Yeah.
I as a commissioner stay away from certain holidays because I know people really appreciate them more than other ones. Like, no offense to President's Day, but it's like it doesn't, give me a spirit in my bones, like, oh, President's Day. But like other days, like I know like certain days out of respect, you got to give it to them, to give them a break, give those breaks to the workers too.
Mhm.
But since we're on the topic of spaces, we need to discuss how we're going to hold the public space, our monthly meetings. And we've been having a discussion practically every month since before you got sworn in as a commission, I feel like, since December, in terms of how are we going to be holding our public monthly meetings. And as you know, we've been paying for a Zoom account to hold our meetings for the past couple of years now, and we continue to do so using Zoom webinars for our public meetings. We have not been using the community space for a public meetings since February of 2020. And the space is available right now, but I wouldn't recommend to hold a large meeting there just because of the ventilation issues and just concerns for senior citizens getting sick. They're not as capable as us younger folks to be sitting in a room with no windows and someone might be sick in there and then they get caught up in just but like I've said since the beginning of this term as your chair, I prefer that the commission makes the decision. I do let you know my preferred vision, I guess I would say, but I really leave it up to y'all because I respect y'all's decision at the end of the day, but y'all should chime in on this because it's a very diverse issue when it comes to safety. I like the virtual option. I prefer in person, but I do like the virtual option. I think it works. It needs some fine tuning, especially with our commission coming in this year. But I think it works. So I would like to open the discussion up to one, preferences to hold our upcoming monthly meeting, and on top of that, solidifying up until a proposed date, preferably to the month as closest as possible to what DC government is imposing on itself. We are elected officials. We do represent communities at a government level. We should, be able to respect and use those same type of protocols in place. Just because we don't get a check, don't mean that we don't deserve respect. So I'll open up to the commission on that.
Before we get started, I will say that I called today to speak to someone at ONAC, just to kind of figure out, where the guidance was there. I spoke to Gail, and then from there, I called to the council and spoke to downtown the council. And so what I've been advised is that although the regulation is expiring over the summer, the intent of this council is to amend the regulation, and they intend to impose a permanent remote and hybrid type meeting in person. And they're going to specifically leave it to each individual ANC to determine how they want to hold their meetings. So it's going to basically be, they're just waiting to when they're going to decide they're going to take up the matter and extend. But this council for this term intends to continue to allow people particularly the ANCs, continue to allow us to determine what form we want to have these meetings in.
Thank you for doing that, Commissioner McCollum.
No problem.
It's important information.
And for now, we are good through September, right? That's already.
Well, I think with me asking for September, it was just a personal preference to get through the summer. I was advised today that they'll send me an email tomorrow, but I think that it expires in July. But there was not a 100% certainty about that. So I'll know, give or take, I guess, once I get an email. I thought that I had found it somewhere that it was September, and so that's why I was asking for September. But I also want us to be very sure about whatever we decide.
I thought it was until early October, which would cover our September meeting. But...
Did you have a date, Commissioner Cobb?
Yeah, the current remote allowance expires October 6th. So
October 6th.
We're covered through our September meeting.
Good.
Thanks for that's the current set in stone date.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Well, if I may, I would rather do it. I would rather do it remotely. We got to take into consideration that our meetings get out late, meaning that we will be leaving Union Market at maybe 10 o'clock at night, which is not safe for a lot of us getting back into our communities. And also it's just the bickering and the conflicts that I don't appreciate and would not want to do those in person, personally. You can easily just turn your mic off, shut your video off, but for real, bickering and having conflicts in person might lead to other things. And also we won't know if someone is coming there to be malicious. And that's a security issue and a safety issue.
I agree with Commissioner Rowe. That's the way I feel about it too. And also, since there's no ventilation in there, and I also agree with the chair, we need ventilation. And the elderly is not as strong as we are. And I know this for a fact by being a healthcare professional. So I'm going to say virtually.
As much as we would love to spend time with each other in person and see.
Yeah, we would, but it's too much drama and confusion.
Yeah.
I would really like to see us in person, but I 100% agree with your points. All those points, we got to go with it, in my opinion.
I mean, we all would love to meet in person, but it's just that it's a lot of drama and confusion. And I've been going through drama and confusion since 2010.
And it's not safe.
It's not safe.
It's not safe. We've been having a lot of security issues in Union Market and in our, just traveling from there to our homes could be a safety issue. And all of us don't drive.
Sure enough, don't.
So that would be an issue unless somebody volunteers to make sure that everybody gets home. But it's just the point that the uncertainty of it's just uncomfortable. It'll be uncomfortable for me personally, and for Commissioner Blacknell, and for Commissioner Robin, for all of us actually.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be safe.
I mean, I would love to see all my agency commissioners in person, but yeah, I just don't know the drama I've been through. Y'all fairly new. I'm old, Commissioner.
We can dig it. Because being in a hostile environment and then have to go home after that is just...
I mean, even when the meetings was at 5D, okay, I had to break up a fight between Commissioner Henderson and the secretary in 5D. So, yes.
Well, no one wants any of that, Commissioner. We're done with that kind of nonsense.
Yes.
Quickly, the other thought I was going to add is I wonder if we would have trouble getting some of the presenters who were able to get now. I mean, people are very accustomed to being able to join these conversations via Zoom now, and it just like Commissioner Rhodes, Commissioner Blacknell mentioned their own hesitance to come out to Union Market and be there for a long meeting. I'm not sure people would want to come and stick around for 3 hours, and we get a lot of people who join these meetings, so I think that's also something to consider.
So for
and then if I could add,
go ahead, Commissioner.
I mean, I just don't know what other added benefit we have of meeting in person. So I just want to go on record of saying that. Like, I know that the conversation continues to come back around to what everyone else is meeting in person. It'll give people more opportunity to attend and participate. But I can't think of a greater way to give people to participate than offering it virtually, because you can access it from your computer, from your iPads and tablets, from your phone. You can be moving about. So I think that what we're doing, I have to agree with Commissioner May and with all of you all, is for safety reasons. And it just seems like it's streamlining our process when we have guests to come, that we should continue to go down this path.
And not only that, I'm sorry, was you going to say something, Carl?
I was just going to say, kind of to build off that, another point is that, I've been going to 5D meetings for a while, since before I was a commissioner. I've seen the deliberations that the commissioners and the public all participate in, and we're talking about the issues in person versus online. And I feel like online, when it goes well, it's about the same as in person. It's not like, our public input or, deliberations are really struggling, but in person, it can get a lot worse. So, virtual, as far as when it goes well, it's about the same, but, it can't go as badly online.
And a lot of those in-person meetings, because when Ryan was commissioner, we would come out every meeting, and it wasn't a packed house. It wasn't a lot of people there from different communities. It was just people that can get there. And people can get it on their phone or on their computer. If they cannot pull up a Zoom link meeting on their phone, how are they going to get to Union Market and find a parking space and get there and be comfortable? Just because it's in person. So it wasn't a lot of people at those meetings. Some meetings, but for the most part, it was always the same folks.
And we've been having a fair amount of people on our online meetings. I think 40, 50, right? That's a lot.
So just tie up this conversation a little bit so we can so I can request a commissioner to make a motion on this. Playing devil's advocate, or probably for the platform I prefer, but I know it's not really feasible right now. For in person, we do miss out on the spirit of community when you can't meet in person. I recognize that. I'm sure a lot of folks miss that uh, that ability to connect with folks and see folks, or hey, even get pissed off with folks because y'all mad about the same thing together. That's missing. That touch, we can provide it to a certain extent as commissioners in our ANC at our public meetings virtually to a touch, but it's different when you actually can touch it in person. So we're missing that, but I recognize that right now it's not as easy as to think that we can get back to that. And I think this is an opportunity for the commission to move forward virtually until our September meeting, hold that virtually in October, maybe have to go back physically or have options in the future. We'll touch base again. But I do think the commission should take this time to have the rest of their meetings virtually until October, and really increase the numbers of attendees at our virtual meetings. So getting this information out, getting these notices out, getting these yard signs out. So if the commission wants to take that direction, I just hope that we, as collectively as we can, focus on getting information to the community, because we live in the 2020s. We're not in the 1990s, 1980s, 1970s no more. If you cannot connect to our meetings that are being held virtually, that means there's resources that you do not have available in your life, whether that's access to data, a data plan, how to know how to use a computer at a public library, an email address. A lot of my people, they don't have email addresses. You should have an active, working, functional email address in the 2020s. So that's an underlying conversation, but that's all I just wanted to say in terms of this issue. And I would like for someone to make a motion to decide on how to hold our ANC public, our monthly ANC public meetings until October of 2023.
I motion that we continue to have virtual meetings until October 2023.
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Blacknell. All in favors of this motion that was moved by Commissioner Rhodes, say aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, I'll say nay. And any abstentions? No? Okay. So 6-1-0, the ayes have it.
Yeah.
We'll proceed as that.
One quick suggestion. I think it would be good for us. It can be a quick formality at the beginning. I think it would be good for us to vote publicly.
I was just about to ask for a roll call vote on this because we need everybody on record for who was present and voted.
Yeah, well, and I mean, my suggestion, Commissioner McCollum, and maybe you're saying the same thing, is that we do it as well at the meeting in May. So that we do it in front of Henderson and in front of the public who attend, that this is our plan until September.
But
I know people can access this meeting, but there's nobody else here.
I agree with that idea, because I think it's really important for the public to hear about some of our reasons, like the bickering.
Well, I think we could certainly we can have a discussion about what we've decided, but I don't necessarily know that I agree that we need to have another vote, because if we're going to have a vote, we need to give the public the opportunity to say what they feel about it. And so if we're not going to turn on the comments to allow them the opportunity to speak and say or do what they're going to do, we just need to, I mean, certainly we can say why we're doing it, but I think to have two votes will kind of like I don't know. We're just doing there's no need of us voting now is what I'm going to say. Let's just vote then and not let this matter. We can just have ourselves together with what we know we're going to do in May but it's no need of two votes.
And we're
So,
not
so
sure.
to clarify, I'm sorry, to clarify, I hear 3 commissioners requesting that we, instead of voting here on this, making this decision, to make it a public decision and for public comment, correct?
I mean, I think that if we take it to the public, we need to give the public the opportunity to speak on it.
No, I'm
And-
just clarifying what we're moving towards.
Yeah.
I'm entirely fine with that. I'm just trying to keep our agenda tight. I'm entirely
Yeah.
fine with that, but someone's gonna have to draft that letter requesting that, making this a vote and such, and we can add it to the agenda, no problem whatsoever. But I like to see one of the commissioners step up and do it, not per se me or just because Reed's secretary. Like if Commissioner May wants to do it, he can do it, but someone needs to make sure that that's the case.
Plus, we're not
And I
sure.
agree with Commissioner Salvador because the first thing Commissioner Henderson gonna come out her mouth is, well, he the chair, why he's making the decision.
I understand that, Commissioner Blacknell. I'm not gonna comment on what she can't do, whatever. I already hear it, so it's not really. I'm like, oh, I need to stop hearing that. No. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I would like to see another commissioner step up on and take
I
that lead.
understand.
Yeah.
But I just want to say too, we have not decided what we're going to do with the chat yet. We're going to vote on it
Commissioner
today.
Roblin, please focus on the agenda.
We're not talking about the chat. We are talking about going virtual.
It's coming. It's on the agenda, Commissioner Roblin. I'm sorry if I came off rude, but I have to constantly go back to the agenda.
I say that because Commissioner McCollum said we need to give the public a chance, and it sounded like he's saying we won't have a chat at that point, but we could. What I'm saying.
My bad.
Yeah, that's why it relates to this.
That was just my suggestion. I'm not married to the public having to have the opportunity to say anything, but I will say that once commissioners see that we're going to have that vote publicly, I do know that we may have some situation with people asking constituents or let me make sure that I'm phrasing this right, because I try to be careful. Commissioners may ask constituents to be present just for that part of our public meeting. And I just don't want to get another email that has a lot of false information in it. I do now see kind of what you're saying, Commissioner May, that I kind of agree. I agree with you in whole, because now it shows that we tried to have this discussion at the CAL meeting amongst all of the commissioners, but everyone was not present. So we decided to now bring it public. And in public, this is what we've decided, because all objections could have been raised tonight and we could have talked about those before we do a public vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Commissioner McCollum.
And if it would help to have something in writing, like a formal motion in writing, I'm happy to put a motion in writing and share it with the commission. That's fine.
Cool. Perfect. So we'll make that deciding. We'll add that as a voting action item for our agenda in our May public meeting. So going on with the agenda, we have guidelines for public comments. Now, as you know, the chat feature has been disabled because one of our commissioners stated that she felt attacked by attendees of the meeting, and it stirred a little bit of mouse spirit and negative energy at the meetings. I can state that as the chair of this commission, our meetings have been becoming a show where people just either look for whatever dramatic things going on during our business matters, or just interested to see what happens next. That used to be a case back in ANC, in this commission, but it shouldn't be the case at all. It should have never been the case at all. So in terms of the guidelines with public comments, I I'm a free guy. I prefer people to speak openly and talk openly. I don't know if residents realize the difference between an in-person setting and a virtual setting. You get trolls everywhere virtually in any kind of platform. Um, in person, you don't see that often at all, really. But uh, I understand the sentiment some residents have towards having this feature removed where they can't speak or to other residents, because I think that's the main issue, correct? They're using the Q&A function right now, and
Mhm.
some folks are still using the Q&A function to drop comments or little things here and there when it's not really a question. But um, that's the current stance what this commission's taken, and I would like to hear what folks think about the chat feature returning or guidelines in general when it comes to public comment. Because I've spoken to other commissions. Some commissions only give 3 minutes of public comments from their residents, from their constituents. And I'm not talking about 3 minutes for each item. I'm talking about 3 minutes in the whole meeting. So, I just want to make that clear before we move on and allow these BZA folks to present. So we'll talk about this chat feature.
Are we voting? Because I gotta go. I gotta training.
No, there's no vote per se on this.
Okay, well, just let me just add my comment before I leave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that the chat feature is either way. I don't mind, but I think people should be able to communicate amongst each other. And if that means turning on a chat feature instead of the Q&A because they know how to use that better, I don't mind the chat feature being back on. Like I had stated before, they had it was a whole lineup about them bike lanes, that coalition that was against me. And they spent the whole night chatting with each other, arguing back and forth. But the meeting still went on. So if we turn the chat feature on, we just have to just police it. Somebody is being rude, we just have to mute them or remind them to be nice to each other, be nice on the chat, or we're going to shut it down. Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
See y'all later. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Commissioner.
No.
Bye-bye.
Commissioner Roblin, did you have comment on the chat?
Yeah, personally, I think it's really, really important that the community be able to use the chat. And like you said, the Q&A is supposed to be just for questions, and people are making, comments, so it's like spilling over. But I think it's extremely important that people have the chat. And I don't think it's that big of a deal to block somebody or to warn somebody. So I don't think it was a good move to stop the chat in the first place.
I'm in agreement with, I'm generally in agreement that I'm fine opening up the chat. I think that as far as I'm concerned, community feedback, questions, comments, doesn't matter to me. As long as it's not blatantly offensive, like there should be no tolerance for, racist, sexist comments, anything like that. But if it's just, I disagree with this, I think it's fine. And so I'm okay with it. I also don't think that we're required to do it. And that was, I did see there was a letter issued by Kent, the OANC director, who made it clear that we don't have to have open chats in these meetings to be compliant. So that's my take. It's up to us.
I don't have a problem with the chat being open again. But just like Commissioner Rose said, we got to respect one another and everything. But also, agency not particular, this is a particular agency needs to be careful of what she says, because You don't dish it out if you can't take the response. So we all have to be careful of what we say and everything. But her constituent was very upset because the chat was removed. The chat was removed because of her ANC commissioner said that she was being, I hate to say it, well, abused or threatened or insult and everything. But I have no problem with the chat. You know, if you got negativity comments, my thing is keep it to yourself. But freedom of speech.
I'm also fine with the chat being open. You know, there have been a few bad moments, but in the long run, I think it's been really good for people, and it seems like it's been, you know, a good conversation space.
Any other commissioners have comments? Okay. I don't mind the chat returning at all. But I will not be policing the chat. I'm not a police officer. I already have a little too many more things that I need to be really focused and worry about as your chair during these meetings, to be adding that as a babysitter job on top of the chat room. So if there's a commissioner that wishes to take on that responsibility outside of the executive office, or preferably outside of our executive officer team, preferably, feel free to jump on that, or, you know, a volunteer as tribute.
I think I don't
'cause
mind. I don't mind.
I don't know if a parliamentarian should be just. I think the parliamentarian, just like the other just like a chair, should be really focused on the meeting to ensure that it's moving accordingly, not to be policing a chat room, because people will speak. They will make their comment heard if they hear nonsense, things that they don't like, or just even stuff that they support, they will be heard. So it's going to be a lot to manage if we want to make sure that that's the case moving forward with our virtual space. We'll be voting on this and talking about this more on our public meeting, but I just want to make that clear to the commission. Like, it's not going to be just something we could talk about today and think it's going to be all right. No, it's going to have to take an active hand and approach to ensure that people are respected. It doesn't seem like that's the case right now. So it's going to take a conscious effort amongst the commission.
Well,
But that was my comment. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No,
about that.
I don't know if Commissioner McCollum had something to add.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, as parliamentarian, I think that the role is to make sure that the meetings have order. And so part of commenting and especially rude comments would be making sure that we wouldn't allow that in a personal or in-person setting. So it would be to make sure that we don't have that. I think all of us are able to see the comments when we're having these meetings. So if someone sees something that needs to be flagged, we can just kind of hit each other and say, okay, let's, we can tell those that are being a nuisance or not during the meetings. I wanted to add this other little point, that in the email that we received from, was it Denise or Desiree? It was one of Commissioner Henderson's.
Miss Williams.
Desiree.
Yes.
Desiree.
I wanted to just make it clear that it was not favoritism. I yielded my time to bring one of my constituents, and I was using the constituent to help me hammer in a point that I was trying to make to MPD regarding the public safety. And I just want to make sure that we at least have a mention that when you're talking about chatting and allowing people to speak, that if we as a commissioner decides to yield our own personal time, that's not going to be an issue, because the email stated that, she was told that some others were allowed to speak. And then I think Commissioner Henderson came in behind that and even stated that, we had showed favoritism. And so I did not intend for it to be anything for favoritism. I intended for it to help me strengthen my point that I'm trying to make to MPD. And if I need to yield my time every time to get another constituent to help me with something I'm trying to get to happen here, that's just what I'll have to do. But I wanted to just put that out there too.
Commissioner McCollum, I appreciate what you just shared. I don't think it's necessary for you to have to explain why you, as an elected official that advocates for their community, is giving up their time for their constituent. I think that's something that all commissioners should do. I wish a specific commissioner did that today at our COW meeting, but they decided not to attend. I mean, but I respect you and what you did, and that was not in no way favoritism. You did what you were more than welcome to do, and so is the rest of the commission. During your commissioner reports, if you want one of your constituents to speak up because you need them to speak, feel free to do that. Take Commissioner McCollum's lead on that. That's amazing. But there was no sense of favoritism, and then there was comments also where our interpretation of questions on the Q&A are not being are not correct. And I do remind some folks, especially to our seniors, they just like to ask, hey, if you have a question, you can use the raise your hand feature. I'll let you ask, and we'll unmute them real quick and let them ask a question. The only one that ever does that is Miss Juanita Diggs over in Carver Langston. But I mean, your constituents are always feel free to speak. We just are pressed on time. That's what I have to say with this time constraints before we move on to letting BZA case present. Time. I understand that, again, certain commissioners, well, one commissioner prefers not to attend the COW meetings. We can hash out a lot of these things that are asked at the public meetings. I wish that commissioner also looked at the agenda or looked at material that was provided 7 days in advance, at least that. A lot of that time we lose in those conversations that they're entitled to have. They're entitled to discussion. You know, they're entitled to ask questions. I don't mind questions. But if you're going to hijack a meeting or misuse time of a meeting, that's where the issue lies. So when it comes to time constraints, I mess up on this a lot. It's a chair thing. Our parliamentarian we have now will be assisting with time. So the time and restraints, they need to be real. We shouldn't be going past 10 o'clock. We should not be going past 10 o'clock for a meeting, almost towards 11 last time. I'm the chair, I take blame for that, but we just need to make sure our agenda items marry well with the time that we're providing to the public, and also let the public know that we do provide space to speak on a lot of these items and topics prior to the meeting. They do get the notice. The agenda comes out a week in advance. If they see something on there, they can contact us if they have questions. So don't, when we get hammered with these kind of things, especially if we want to move virtual, let constituents and the public know those 3 hours that we set up once a month, that's not the only time you can ask questions or talk about this. You can hit us up prior. We got you set the day of. So I just want to add that. We'll come back to this topic after this BZA presentation if you'd like, but I will add it as a voting action item to our May public agenda. So I'm going to stop sharing. This is BZA case 1108. Let me get that number again from the agenda. 1108 Montello Avenue Northeast. They presented last week at our zoning committee meeting. And I just added them. I think they're here.
Are here. Let us just run back to a place that we can put our cameras. How are you guys? And
Good.
gals?
How are you?
Good, thank you.
So who do we have today? I see Eugene. We have a Jacob.
We have Eugene, Jacob, and Cameron.
Cameron, yes.
Yeah. We're with the ownership team here. As I'm not sure if the committee knows, we were actually the lender on this project. That's how we ended up in front of you today. As we ultimately end up taking ownership, unfortunately, through a foreclosure process, and now we're trying to get to the finish line.
Great.
Nice. Sorry,
Thanks
one
for
second.
being with us again.
One second. Just so you are aware, we do live stream and upload this to YouTube, so it is going to be available to the public. And I'll let the commissioners go ahead and ask the question or state something. I'm sorry, Commissioner Cobb, you were going to say something. I cut you off.
Yeah, I just got to give the normal disclosure that because of my day job, I can't consider any zoning issues on the merits. So I'm just going to turn off my camera, microphone, recuse myself, and I'll pop back in when we're done with this matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobb. So yes, Eugene, you were talking about that you guys are the lenders that got the property.
Correct. We were. Now we're the owner. Correct.
Yes. And when was that?
We took title in October.
Okay, gotcha. So you should have the share screen option if you're going to present something, but you can go ahead and start.
Oh, are you guys? I know we presented 3 or 4 days ago. My apologies. This is our first go around with this process in the district. Are you guys expecting us to present again the same?
The commissioners, we would like to have either that same presentation, more concise, to allow the commissioners to ask questions before a public meeting next month.
Oh, okay, no problem. Jacob, can you throw up the architecture plans? And while my colleague shares screen just so you can see the plans, we're in front of this commission, in front of the zoning board, ultimately asking for relief for 2 things. Our goal here is to build a 10-unit project over 1108 West Montello. It would look and feel similar to the condominium project that was built previously on Montello Avenue. If you're looking at the building to its right, the project would consist of 9 condominiums that are for sale, as well as 1 retail unit on the ground floor. We currently have the retail unit, the size to approximately 1,200 square feet. As soon as we get the renderings up, we'll show you what the building looks like, but we would be reusing the existing building footprint. The existing building is currently vacant. It's approximately 2,500 square feet on the first floor, approximately 2,000 square feet on the second floor. We'd be reusing the existing building footprint and building reusing that footprint, kind of a Class A condominium building that we think looks and feels appropriate for the neighborhood in the corner. We're in front of the committee today and the board ultimately because of kind of 2 quirks. Quirk number 1, that's perfect, Jacob. If you just go up 1, yeah, unit layout's good. If you go up a couple, Jacob, just so the renderings, people have an idea of the massing. We're here because of 2 quirks. Quirk 1 is our 9 condominiums plus 1 retail space require 1 parking spot per zoning. We have 1 parking spot on this site. However, as part of getting our building permit, Department of Transportation would like for us to fill in the curb cut and remove that 1 parking spot. So because of that request from DOT, we're seeking zoning relief to remove that 1 parking spot to permit the existing density, the proposed density. The other quirk that we're asking for is to increase the lot coverage by 3%. So that we can get the nice kind of front bay window feel on Florida that you see kind of in this picture right here. And Jacob, if you go up to where it's red, where the red layout is that shows the building jutting. So on this layout that Jacob has pulled up, if you guys zoom in, you'll see kind of on the left-hand most part of the site, there's something already kind of jutting into Florida Avenue. We just want to make that, instead of that 1 little piece, we want to pull that all the way down to Montello to provide that kind of glass facade for the retail tenants and above floors. So the support that we're asking for is to fix that kind of parking quirk and to be able to fill in that extra 3% of lot area so we can get the full bay window feel on the ground floor. The 9 condominiums in this project will consist of predominantly 2-bedroom condominiums, and I believe one bedroom condominium, as well as approximately 1,200 square feet of retail. We have not yet identified a retailer. Normally, we do have a fair bit of development experience in addition to being a lender. As we build these types of projects, we start getting signage up and leasing, and then we move the retail around to fit the kind of tenant we're able to locate. And that's kind of the high level what we're trying to do here. Our goal is to move and kind of get this built starting in Q3 and start construction. And part of that is, we're in for building permits right now, resolving this kind of zoning nuance and hopefully delivering, a nice project that the neighborhood appreciates and enjoys. And that is kind of, lets us get to the finish line with our own investment here over the next 18 to 21 months. I think, sir, you're on mute.
Thank you. Going back to the photo, the rendition, please?
Jake, can you pull up the rendering?
Can you remind the commission? I won't ask the commissioners that attended to do this. I will ask you. Can you remind the commission what was the feedback on these windows here?
I think it was pretty well received from our conversation a few days ago.
Well received?
Correct.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Roblin, this is in your SMD. Do you have any comments on the design?
I personally like this design a lot, and I think the open windows are great, but I'm very I don't have knowledge of what's good for the community as far as buildings go. I don't know what if there's anything I don't know about.
So just remind us where that black vehicle is that Montello Avenue?
Correct.
And then in front of this building is lies Florida? Correct. Do you know what the other buildings on this block look like at this time?
So the building exactly to the right of what we're looking at has not as much glass, but a similar type of new construction build to it. If we were to go on Google Maps, you could see it was also a new build with a similar architecture and design.
Okay. Would you be able to have that information available for our next public meeting?
Of course.
Okay, that would be nice. Just because I know a lot of folks that are native to Trinidad, they would say, no, this is not it. This is not Trinidad. This is looking off of Florida Avenue. Florida Avenue is one of the beautiful sites that the neighborhood has when it comes to its authenticity and design. This does not marry with that. This does not marry with tradition or what's already historically placed on that land. It's not preserved historically, but it still means history to somebody. And being that this is still remains a Black neighborhood and Black area in Ward 5, I think it would just be a little bit better if you can marry it more with the neighborhood. So I'm just curious what those buildings that you're referencing look like, because if it's sticking out like a sore thumb to me right now. The windows are great. Everyone loves lighting. That's the thing now when it comes to this stuff. But does it look like it fits with the community? Because I think you're building 9 units, you said, or 10?
Correct. Yeah.
How many of those are affordable, sir?
We're building 9 units. These for sale condos. None of them are affordable.
None of them are affordable. Okay, so you're coming into a neighborhood. You're building units of housing, but it's most likely not going to go to people that live in that neighborhood because they can't afford them. So just look at the impact of what your project's doing to this neighborhood. This is Trinidad, if you didn't know. Look at the impact of what your design, what you're bringing to the table, how that affects a neighborhood. So please have that information available in terms of those buildings that you're referencing, because it makes a difference in terms of what these meetings are for and what the public looks at. So those are my comments for the project. I'll let the other commissioners say anything else.
Sure, no, happy to. And we'll just point out that the building next door to this was designed by the exact same architect with a similar design scheme, and we'll certainly bring pictures for the next meeting so you guys have them.
I can just jump in quickly. So I was at the zoning committee meeting, Eugene. Thank you for coming back again. I think we really addressed my questions there, and I think I don't have anything pressing. I'll just mention for the benefit of my colleagues, we talked a little bit about one of the 2 variances or areas of relief is the lot occupancy. The existing building has sort of a unique footprint in that, actually in the same corner where we see the windows here. And so I think the thing that stood out to me about the windows, and we talked about this in the meeting, was just that they're a little bit further out into that sidewalk, but we did talk about there still being 6 feet of clearance between the windows and the tree box, which I think should be adequate to make sure that passersby can use the sidewalk. And we also talked a little bit about, the reality with the need to close the curb cut and the location of trash and things like that. And I think that the zoning committee got to a place where we felt pretty good about the questions there. And you also got some feedback about retail from some members of the community, and sort of what sorts of vendors or establishments might be most sought after. So things like, we'd probably prefer something more like a coffee shop, less like a liquor store. You already heard all that feedback, but again, just sharing that as a recap for colleagues. I personally, I also mentioned affordability to you. I think it's something worth considering. I know you don't have to, but I think considering taking, making at least one of these units more affordable is worth the consideration. I think Commissioner Saucedo Guzman is right about the historic complexity of the neighborhood. Personally, I find the design to be very appealing. I think it's beautiful, and I think, I don't think beautification takes away from the existing character of the neighborhood. The current building on that site is in disrepair. This is going to be, a beautiful renovation. So those are my comments.
Thank you for the feedback.
Was there anything additional, Commissioner Roblin? This is being in your SMD.
Yeah, I don't think that, to me, there are no other buildings that look even vaguely similar to this next to it or anywhere. At least it doesn't look that way to me. But and I'm not sure if residents of Trinidad might even like this. Because it's just good looking in my opinion, but I don't know. But and I think that it would be really good if you had affordable units. And one of the people in the zoning committee that works with Kevin said that the units seem kind of small, but then someone else gave feedback that they were not small. So I don't know and I would like other commissioners to hear about the size of the units and see if maybe they are on the small side, which is not good.
How many units are for family, Eugene?
There's 9 units here. 8 of them are 2 bedrooms. I think that we did have at the hearing last week or on Thursday, I think where some of the confusion is that a number of the units are 2-story. And so if you look at the plans, it says that, a unit is 400 square feet. And I think that there was a mistake and we could have done a better job communicating it. That doesn't mean that unit's 400 square feet. It's 400 square feet on that floor. It's a 2-story unit. So there's another 400 square feet on the second floor. It's 8 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom. Average unit size is a little over 800 square feet. Units range. We have 1 unit at 600 square feet, 5 like 75. The rest of them are 700 to 1100 square feet.
Gotcha. I know we're losing a lot of spaces that have three bedrooms, particularly for families. And that's when I look at this design, it doesn't seem like it's going to fit with the need of the neighborhood. We have people with large families and they need space. So let alone the price tag, just the design is just my heart is swollen because it's not working. But hopefully you can take some of this feedback and give us a great presentation next month. Are there any final comments or questions from the commission for them or any questions for us?
Yes, I do. This is extremely important that this building gets developed for the community because this is an area that people are hanging out right here, and they're even hanging out. One of my constituents said inside the building, and this is a group of people that's extremely noisy at night, especially Friday and Saturday nights, and there's crime connected with them because they sort of, and when it gets later, one of my constituents says there are break-ins, and it seems like it's definitely related to this group. So my constituents very, very much want this developed, but I would hope that you would consider making at least 1 unit affordable,
Sure. Look, for what it's worth, just for kind of candid feedback, we develop affordable housing as well. We're building 150 units of affordable right now out of the ground. We understand that world, and it's a mission that we kind of touch upon. I hope that the commission understands that the way we got to this asset, we didn't come in here with the goal of building these condominiums in this area. We were the lender, and we certainly had not the easiest go with this project. That we're just trying to get this thing kind of to the finish line and build for the community, and that it's not, we're at the point where kind of financial viability is really getting shaky here with the market. So that's what makes it so challenging with the ask, but we understand why, and we're certainly trying to figure it out.
This thing was vacant for like 10 years, but so, I mean, maybe that's one reason why, but it's not great to have a condo building instead of regular rentals for this area for the people in this community.
Commissioner May, you had a question or final comment?
Yeah, I was just going to make a final comment, which is like I hear. Well, so again, appreciate Eugene your candor there. I think that just helps us all to be on the same page, and I understand all the market forces. We always ask, and we do think it's important to try to preserve affordability. I do also. This is more directed to my colleagues. I hear the feedback about it. It would be great if this were a single family home. It would be great if they were all 3 or 4 bedroom units. I also think we have to look at the net gain here, which is that, to Commissioner Roblin's point, it's been vacant for 10 years. This will be 90 units. And I personally, when I first joined the BCA meeting, I assumed they were going to say there were a bunch of 1-bedroom units. So when they said that they're mostly 2 bedrooms, I felt pretty excited about that, because I think that is, I have a spouse and a child, and we live in a 2-bedroom house right now. And so I do think this is a building that it may not be able to hold very large multi-generational families, but it will be a space where families can reside in our community. And I do think that's a net gain for 5D.
The net gain, but it's a net loss for people that have been here for decades, just waiting for something.
But it's not, Commissioner Saucedo Guzman, it's an empty building. It's been vacant for 10 years.
When you have the opportunity in front of you to help out, it's nothing wrong with us making these questions or comments.
But,
so I understand where you're coming
from.
I
disagree with you.
Entirely.
It's a net loss for the community to take an empty building and turn it into 9 units of housing.
It's a net loss when you can advocate for affordability or for larger units for families that are already here.
We can do both.
That's all.
We can do both. We can advocate for,
like I said,
but also
I'll wait for them to present a much better presentation next month.
We do this. We do this a lot, where we make these catty comments, and it's tiring. It's tiring.
Hey, Papa, you're here, Commissioner. You're here in this commission. It's not catty comments. It's the reality that some of us face and live in next to and with. That's all. So, yes, I understand we do have moments where it's just like, are you kidding me? But when it comes to this, when it comes to the real business of this, it's not no catty comment. I'm just speaking for folks right now that can't be here, and that's why I advocate for them.
Yeah, but you're advocating that we don't build new units in the community. That's not going to
advocate. I'm advocating that we give good reason, opportunity to have units for the community that exists here already, Commissioner.
Yes, and at the 5D zone,
your comments make it seem like you're doing it for folks that are not here yet, that can make something, which they can, like you did, like I did, like a lot of other folks did. But I'm just thinking about people that are here already. And people that are here already most likely can afford none of this. Most likely will not be able to access any of this because it won't work for them. That's all. So I apologize if I came off any kind of way, but that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, we took an oath for the whole city, and I think the whole city needs housing, and that's my perspective. Generally, I want to encourage people to want to invest in 5D. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, but the community that lives here is not wealthy enough for something like this, so it's like kind of uncool.
We'll hope for a good presentation. They've gotten plenty of feedback. I'm sure they'll present something well that we can vote on and make a decision on next month. Any final comments or questions? Do you all have any questions for us, Mr. Eugene, as a commission for next month? We hope your presentation is concise, has great renditions, can address certain figures or numbers. And yeah, just if you have any questions until then, you can always reach out.
No, appreciate it. Look, we understand some of the questions and why they're being asked, and we appreciate you guys kind of taking the time to take us through it. This isn't our day to day, and I know you guys appreciate that we're kind of lender stepping in here. I'll tell you, for whatever it's worth, like what you get with us is kind of what you see. If we could do something, we'll tell you. If we can't, we'll tell you why. But if we say we're going to build it, like we're the guys that come in, build it, finish it, and be pretty good neighbors. So we appreciate the time. We appreciate kind of the feedback and balls in our court.
We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Cobb, you can come out of your rock. Oh, there you are. Okay, going back to this discussion on the monthly public meetings. Commissioner Rhodes has been requesting the ANSL interpreters, so we don't really need to really talk about that. But in terms of these voting guidelines, I'm not sorry, voting guidelines for public comments, chat feature, time restraints, any final say on this? Because we'll be voting on it and it looks like it'll probably be a hot topic at our next meeting.
I have something. I feel like we should come up with some ground rules, kind of like a warning to the public. Like, okay, like if you put in a harassing, bullying comment, you know, you're out on this this day, and maybe the next day. I really think that that is the right way to handle the situation. Like you be upfront with the public, like you please don't do it. And if you do, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And if you get another chance and this is going to happen, then that's it. I think that that's the right way to handle this kind of situation, is to tell them up front what will happen if they do it. And that will highly discourage people from doing it also. That's all I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
You can ask the public to do something, but you can say if you keep on doing this, this is going to be the consequence. No, don't cut me off, because I did not cut you off. I let you off. Again, I've been an ANC commissioner since 2010. I know the rules real good. The only thing you can say to the constituent is, please do not do that, or please do not say that, you being disrespectful. But you can't say, if you keep on doing this, so and so, so and so, so and so. That's like a threat, and that causes legal action. You can't stop somebody from really speaking, but you can say, hey, look, what you said is not nice. You're being disrespectful. Let's not be disrespectful to your fellow constituent, or let's not be respectful to your ANC commissioner. The only thing we can do is point it out. You can give them a nice warning, but you can't say this is a warning and then now you do this, it's so and so, so and so, so and so.
You're going in and out. It's hard to hear.
Commissioner Blacknell, do me a favor. Do me a favor.
Or Kathy Williams. But that's like, what you're saying is like a threat to a constituent or another ANC commissioner. And that's going to cause legal action. And then it's at a public meeting too.
Commissioner Blacknell, just so you know, I turned off your video feed because you were lagging a bit. So hopefully that'll keep your audio connected fine. But don't do nothing. Don't do nothing crazy, because your camera can come back on. So just make sure you're aware of that. Commissioner May, you had a question or comment? Thank you for raising your hand.
Yeah, unrelated to the chat. I just wanted to generally mention, I think, last meeting was really long, and so I wanted to suggest that we think about trying to give ourselves time limits in the Q&A period. This isn't directed at anyone in particular. I think we're all asking important questions, but sometimes we take a lot of time. And I was just thinking about the math with 9 of us. If we each take 3 minutes, that's a half an hour on questions for each presentation. So I don't think we have to pass a rule or anything like that, but I did want to address it because I think we've had some long meetings, and I think it's tough to hold people's attention until the end. And I know last meeting we in hindsight, I voted to extend. We probably should have stopped. But then that's also, I felt bad for the presenters who waited all the way until 10:30 to
I've been there before.
Yeah. So anyway, so I felt I had mixed feelings about it, and I want to make sure we don't string people along and then tell them they can't present, but also that we don't have a meeting that drags on for 3 hours or almost 4. So that was just my comment.
Thank you for the comment, and thank you for mentioning the question timing, just timings and questions. communicating with the OANC, we cannot restrain any commissioners from asking questions. So it's gonna be difficult, I guess. We have to just be very conscious of what we're asking if we have a question. So if you do have a question, please have it prepared. Don't just, I can't tell you what to do, but just be very conscious of the time when you're asking questions, because the public does deserve time to ask these questions as well. And I rather them ask the questions than myself, because I typically already asked them prior. But think of that in the future. Maybe there's an agenda item, you might have a lot of questions. Hey, why don't you, email the presenter or the discusser or the commissioner in advance. Just be very conscious of those questions. Anyone else?
Yeah, I feel like it's really strange that like in a government meeting, you cannot say, I'm gonna this is, if you do it once, this is gonna happen if you do it twice, because every forum does that. I mean, all the online forums, they have a rule like that. And if someone breaks it, they're blocked, they do that. So I find it weird that you can't do that in politics.
Well, the distinction there is that we are public officials in a public forum. So the First Amendment does apply.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Carr.
No, it doesn't seem right to me, but I don't know.
Commissioner McConnell, did you have a comment or?
No, I was just agreeing with Commissioner
Oh, I
Carr.
just saw you off mute. Okay. Okay. So, I think we should, Commissioner Ray, I think you volunteer yourself as tribute for this, this letter of proposal for a voting action item next month
For
holding virtual.
yes, happy to do that.
Yes. Should we be adding this this rule in terms of reminding folks and performing restraint while policing the chat feature as well on this letter?
Sure.
Okay, well, we get to vote on it, so we'll see it. It'll be linked to the agenda in advance. Everyone can see what that is, and we can discuss. Okay, so a couple final items. Where are we at? Commissioner May, you have a resolution. Do you have that?
Yes, I do. I almost forgot about that. Yes. So quickly, I'll share this draft with all of you. So just to give you a bit of quick context, I was chatting with, or I was shared with me that Colleen Costello, who's the chair for ANC 5B, she'd been speaking with Councilmember Parker's office, and I think he wants to propose some legislation regarding sidewalk repair citywide, and in particular with the notion of having DDOT create something called basically a safe sidewalk index that would establish the condition of sidewalks citywide and prioritize repairs based on their condition. The resolution also talks about how currently sidewalks are kind of repaired on an ad hoc basis. So if an enterprising resident or commissioner, for example, if Commissioner Cobb went out and sent in a bunch of requests because of bad sidewalks in his district, he might get prioritization for repairs, even if sidewalks in Commissioner Roblin's district were in worse repair, because there's not really a consistent measurement of sidewalk conditions across the city. And this applies as well to things like, crosswalk ramps, all the ADA accessible stuff. So Commissioner Costello in 5B had put a very similar resolution together. She offered it up to other commissions, and what she shared with me was that Councilmember Parker had asked for commissions across Ward 5 to pass this resolution to sort of support his ambition to introduce legislation regarding creating a safe sidewalk index, or sidewalk condition index rather. So that's what the resolution says. It's basically modeled off of the one that 5B passed. It's very similar and pretty straightforward. Just asks basically that the district create that sidewalk condition index and utilize it to prioritize repairs. So I dropped the link into the chat here. I can email this to you, of course, as well.
Can I ask what you?
Go ahead.
Can I ask what you changed from Colleen Costello's version?
Yes, mostly. So obviously I changed 5B to 5D. That was the big thing.
It's a lot of letters.
Yes, it was actually pretty easy to do that part. And then, I updated obviously, the information about which meeting we would hear this at. I put it into our onto 5T letterhead and all that stuff. The only other thing that I changed, there was one well, there were two clauses toward the end that I removed. One of them referred to changing a component of DC legislation, which says right now that DDOT only has to put sidewalk on one side of the street, and changing that to make it required on two. And that's because Councilmember Allen has already taken action on that. So she said to me, like, since they passed their resolution, it's no longer needed. So I removed it. And then the other was just in her resolution, it said something to the effect of that for any matters or for any questions regarding the resolution that that people could speak specifically to Commissioner Costello, who would represent the commission regarding the resolution. I'm forgetting the exact language. I just took that out because I didn't necessarily think we needed to designate a representative, though I'm happy to put language like that back in if people would like.
So that was my second question. Did you pass this by our transportation chair, or I don't know if there's a committee up yet, Commissioner Cobb, but I think this needs to go through them first, then before we vote on it.
I mean, I already read it and I think it looks great. Sorry, Reed, did you say that you removed the paragraph about one side of the street, both sides of the street?
I thought that I did. Oh, you know
I think
what?
I see it in there.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I meant to remove it. Sorry, I will now.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this resolution. This kind of stuff is, it's some of those really technical, overlooked things that can really make a difference at the base level,
Yeah, it's what the council member has been trying to, it wants to implement across the
Yeah.
board. So
Mhm.
I was just curious, Commissioner May, what you changed other than the formatting of that mumbo jumbo. Have they gotten any other commissions on board?
Yeah, so I know that several are working on it. I think 5C. I think that I'm actually not sure if 5C has passed it, but I know they were working on it. I think it'll probably get support across the ward because it's pretty. I don't know. I know we all have different views on certain things, but I didn't think this would be particularly controversial. I think we all pretty much agree on sidewalks being important.
Yeah, we thought the same thing about parks, but that was real controversial.
Okay, well, that's true. That's true. But I mean, I think this is a pretty acceptable.
Commissioner McCollum, you had your hand raised. Did you have a question, or if not, you can use your emoji if you're.
No, I'm good. Commissioner May answer my question.
Okay. I'll be adding this as a voting action item. This is a perfect example where, while holding quorum, we can vote right now during our COW meeting to add this as a consent calendar item. And those are pretty much items that we already discussed during the COW that we could just vote as a group. We gave consent. We vote during the public meeting that someone make a motion like myself. I move that we approve the items on the voting consent calendar, and bam, the whole batch is taken care of. You're not spending an hour discussing this and that, what have you. But we'll be discussing this and voting on this item in May. Okay, thank you, Commissioner May. May. Gotcha. Okay, so if you guys could look at the bottom of the agenda, those are what we have lined up for public agenda items. I'm just gonna share it, making y'all look at it. Sorry, I got too many screens up. Okay. So requested presentations, DDOT wants to present on their 8th Street Northeast Bus Priorities project. Mr. Gambetti Mendez is just giving an update. This is one of the typical agency rounds, just to make sure the public's getting noticed on certain projects. So they requested to be part of the May meeting. As we've been holding meetings with them already with 1108 Montello Avenue Northeast, their project. There will be a voting action item and be on the agenda as well. Ward 5 Care Project update. This was with the University of Maryland College Park. They came, I think it was year what was it, 2021? They 2021 into 2022, somewhere around there. Well, anyways, they came a year or two ago to our commission to let us know that they were doing research on our communities. And the University of Maryland College Park had Dr. Gard present her work. And they just want to give us an update on the neighbors that actually did the surveys and worked with them. So they'll be presenting on an update there. And then all I have for voting action items again is that BZA case 20900. And the last items that we had last month, the streetscape project for 801 17th Street and that Union Market PUD. Was there anyone? Oh, now I'll add that sidewalk resolution here from my notes. Was anyone else thinking of adding anything to the public agenda for next month? Looks fair right now. I'm sorry, I don't have the y'all's faces up, so I take that as a no. No more items. Okay. Okay, I'll get the agenda drafted, send it y'all's way, and then if there's anything else that needs to be added, after it's been noticed, just make a motion when we're approving the agenda to get something on there removed, and we'll proceed as that. Commissioner May, can you just send us a copy of that that paper notice? I think that was my only follow-up.
The flyer, yes, of course.
Yes.
I'll also send everyone that sidewalk resolution in an email.
Thank you, so I can link it in the agenda. Okay, perfect. Other than that, I think we're done. Thank y'all for making it until 8 o'clock. Hope y'all can enjoy the rest of your night. And if you need me, you know how to reach me.
Have a good
Meeting
night.
adjourned.